Welcome back to Elevation 44. I'm B. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, family. Today we're diving into another weekly astrology report because it's Monday, and that's what we do here on this channel. If you're new, I'll just say that these weekly astrology reports, I bring them to you so that you can know what major energies are at play during the week and how to best utilize these energies to your advantage, or to, avoid some situations that might come about if you don't have any idea what's going on. So what I do here is I just kind of highlight the top level things that you need to know for the week. I can't get into everything or we'd be here all night. So we're just gonna go into the most important things. And this week, there are two things that I really want to talk of importance. The first is Mercury stationing direct, and that's happening on Tuesday, November 3rd. And then the next thing that's happening at the very end of the week is that Jupiter and Pluto are actually now getting into their final formation so that they can do their final dance for their final meeting for 2020. And this is going to be huge. So this Mercury stationing direct is going to set off in November. There's just a lot of chain reactions. It's just going to start off the set off of different things. We have Mars that is going to actually be turning direct next week. So, and Mars has been retrograde for a minute now, and when Mars starts to move, other things start to pop off. So we got to keep our eyes on Mars. Again, this Jupiter and Pluto conjunction is massive. Then we also have our new moon in Scorpio. We have Neptune going direct. We just got a lot. We got a lot going on this month. And so this is just kind of what we've been in energy-wise right now. I don't know how you all are feeling out there, but I'll tell you right now, it was a struggle for me to even get on this camera and deliver this video today because my energy has been super low, especially after that full moon. It just we experienced collectively that peak, that it was a lot of energy around that blue moon, that Taurus blue moon, and it was a high. We got to the peak of the energy, right? Peak of the light, peak of the energy, and it was multiplied because it being a blue moon, because it's being on Halloween. There's just a lot going on energy wise in the air. So after, I would say the night after that, my energy levels just started to slowly decline. And then I got to today and I was just whoo, I am tired. All I want to do is sleep. All I want to do is just lay low. I think it also has to do with the weather shifting. I don't know what part of the world you are watching from, but here in the US, it's getting cold. It's been really windy, very cold today. We also just went into daylight savings time, which means our time went back an hour. So it's getting dark at 3 p.m. I'm being facetious. I'm over exaggerating, but it gets dark quite early. It's 5 p.m. and it's pitch black, right? So all of that is preparing us for the dark season, right? And the dark season is just as important as the other seasons. So, the other phases in the other seasons of the year. So this is an important time for us, but it also is a shift in energy and we have to get used to that. So we're coming down at a lot of things, and things are about to actually turn up in a different way. Like I said, with all of these different things happening in November, I feel like this is just the calm before the storm, and things are gonna kick off with this Mercury retrograde. Mercury turning direct after being retrograde. So let's just talk about that first, okay? So like I said, Mercury stations direct on Tuesday, November 3rd. Here in the US, this is our election day. This is our presidential election, among other elections, but this is a big deal for us, for those who are, invested and subscribed to politics. And so Mercury, which is our planet of communication, and all of that stuff, it really then, when it's stationing direct or it's stationing retrograde, whenever that stationing day happens, that's when the effect of that Mercury energy of things going wonky is felt as strongest. So communications get scrambled. Technology usually fails or has lots of mishaps. There's just a lot of there's a comedy of errors that happens when Mercury is retrograde in general, but when it's stationing, you really got to be careful because there's a lot going on there and everything goes haywire. So it's interesting that this Mercury retrograde has been happening through the entire early voting and all of this good stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. Not only that, in this, on election day with it stationing direct, that is definitely going to have an impact on what happens in terms of, voting, in terms of technology, in terms of the communication. Everything around that is just going to be suspect. So stay tuned for that. So like I said, Mercury has been retrograde since September 27th. So again, this is during all of this early voting and all of that cycle. So when it started to retrograde on 9/27, on September 27th, it was actually in Scorpio. And then it moved back into the sign of Libra. So when Mercury is in Scorpio, we talked about this in previous videos, it's all about uncovering things, bringing things up to the surface. And, pretty much it's that investigative, that research energy. It's I want to get to the truth. I'm about to dig this thing up from the depths and bring it up to the surface and air it out for all to see and, put it on the stage, right? And the fact that it was retrograde, and there were a lot of other retrogrades happening in this Mars retrogrades, a lot of that was internally for us. We were dealing with that internally because we had a lot of healing, a lot of things that needed to be brought up, a lot of things that muck, like I talked about last week, that was down in the depths that we didn't even know we were holding on to. The trauma, the pain, all of that stuff that we needed to heal was coming up and being communicated, because Mercury is all about that communication, right? And then, so it started doing that in Scorpio when it was retrograding. Then it went back into the sign of Libra, and Libra is all about our justice, our fairness, our balance. It's about bringing harmony. It's about bringing peace to the situation, okay? So it dipped back into Libra, and now it's going to be stationing direct and forward moving again, and still going to be in Libra, right? So this is still that same energy. It was internal, but now it's going to be pushed externally, okay? So the whole balance and justice piece of it is still going to be a major part, especially as it's stationing. We need to keep our eyes on that and what comes out in terms of communications and what we see now, more so not just an internal thing, but on the world stage, out in society, out in the public, okay? So we need to just be keeping our eyes open and our ears open to seeing what is happening during this time, all right? So one of the things that I will say is that Mercury is still squaring all the planets that are in Capricorn right now. So Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So there is a lot of tension that is still there between the communication planet and those three planets that are hanging out in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is basically all about, that energy is all about our structures, our businesses, our governments, our foundations, all of that good stuff, right? Our authority figures. That is what Capricorn really places an emphasis on. I told y'all my energy is off today. Bear with me, okay? I'm gonna try to get through this. Well, the biggest square that Mercury is going to be having is with, out of the three, although it's having tension with those three, the one that it's having the hardest square with, or the hardest tension with, is Saturn. And Saturn is actually the natural ruler of Capricorn. So all of those things that we talked about that are Capricornian-like, we're talking about that as Saturn traits as well. It's all about the restrictions. It's all about, basically focusing on, refinement, a refinement in those particular areas. So Saturn is refining our structures. It's refining our government. It's refining our businesses, putting an emphasis on our authority figures and all of that good stuff, right? Our government, our structures. So basically all things power and control. All right, so the tension between these two, Mercury that is, you know, now in Libra, which has that justice and fairness and balance, right? And then Saturn, which is very focused on the establishment. There's that tension happening, justice and balance, and the Saturn is focusing on the establishment. So what is that conflict? What is gonna bring to the surface? What is gonna come out of that? Okay, so that's why I said we need to keep our eyes and ears open during this time, because there are going to be obstacles. It's highlighting challenges, you know, and tension in these particular areas, because Mercury wants justice and Saturn wants to uphold this, the establishment and refine the establishment. And there's a clash of, you know, of energy going on there, okay? So this tension between these two can bring disappointment, block communications, and you know, just obstacles and challenges in general because of these things. It also can bring a lot of negative thoughts, and, you know, even individually, it can bring, you know, depression, or just feeling like in a low or a dark place and just having a negative outlook. So take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, physically during this time, so that you are not brought down, especially with this energy already being the way it is. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself during this time, okay? All right, so the second thing that we're gonna talk about, so that we can then go ahead and wrap up this video, is that Jupiter and Pluto at the end of the week are going to be starting to get together to make their tightest conjunction, and their tight and final conjunction, I should say, of the year at 22 degrees Capricorn, okay? And you know, 22, if anyone studies numerology out there, 22 is known as the master number, okay? And it's really focused on the master builder. It adds up to 4, which is about our foundations, our structures, okay? And building upon that. So when Jupiter and Pluto met up in Capricorn in January, they actually met at 22 degrees Capricorn. So their final meeting is going to be at that very same number, okay? So Pluto is our planet of transformation, and the purpose of Pluto is to come in and destroy, okay? It's like a, I don't want to say it's like the Grim Reaper. That's kind of dark, but its job is to come in and flush out and destroy and get rid of all of the things, or purge. Purge is the better word. Its job is to purge all of the things that are no longer needed, are no longer serving us, that are no longer, you know, necessary, okay? So that is the job of Pluto, okay? It's that transformation energy, like clear out, purge, and then have a new start, a new rebirth, okay? So with it being in Capricorn, this means that it's been particularly focused on the establishment. Again, our government structures, our businesses, our authority figures, and it's literally been coming to purge that out because, you know, again, Pluto and Saturn have been sitting in Jupiter, and they had, you know, also conjuncted at the beginning of the year as well to team up to really put an emphasis in this area. Now, with Jupiter in the mix, it's that expansion energy, and for better or for worse, Jupiter expands whatever it comes into contact with. And when I say conjunction, if you're new to astrology, conjunction means that the planets are basically just combining their energy. So Jupiter is going to take its big, you know, energy, that expansion, that, you know, it's that big energy, okay? Jupiter has that big energy, and it's going to take whatever Pluto is focused on. So if Pluto is focused on purging in those areas, then Jupiter is gonna come in and say, okay, let's take a magnifying glass and blow this way up and put a lot more energy into it, okay? So that becomes a rapid, and it not only becomes a rapid purging process, but it becomes a really harsh one because it's quick and it's big and it's moving, and we have seen the results of that in 2020 thus far, since those two met up at the beginning of the year to now, right? And so now when they're coming together and forming that tight conjunction like they did at the beginning of the year, we need to pay attention, all right? Oh man. So this is all, I really believe that this particular conjunction that's going to be happening between Jupiter and Pluto is also setting the stage of what's to come on 12/21, which is the day of the solstice, winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, and summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. I don't want to get too much into that, but I'm going to say there are some big things coming, and November is just catapulting us into that direction, okay? So I really believe that that particular day is really the start of the new age of Aquarius. I know we've been talking about, for years, we're already in the age of Aquarius, some people have been saying. Some people have been saying we're getting ready to enter the age of Aquarius, and I believe that this day, just because of the astrological lineup and the things that are happening, that this is actually the real start of the age of Aquarius. So there's going to be more on that. I'm going to have a video dedicated to, what I think is that day is really breaking down and what those energies really mean as we're going forward into 2021 and beyond. But I really believe this is a great reset for us and that we're ushering a new era in, okay? Because these planets, are now going to, especially Jupiter and Saturn, they're moving into Aquarius. And this just really marks the start of something new. So, and we're going to be, focused on building new structure, building new hope. There's just going to be a lot of new, and it's going to be in a different way. We're going to be moving out of that Capricorn energy, and it's going to be focused on something new. So before we do that, we still got to get through this, right? And this is like, I use the analogy like we have, if we want to put this in an easy way, I feel like 2020, thus far we've been in labor, right? We've been in labor, and I'm just gonna say we, the Earth, energy-wise, the collective, we've been in a labor process, right? Like when a woman goes into labor, she's laboring for many hours before, sometimes before she actually has the baby. Now, what I believe this November and December energy is gonna do is literally now she's getting ready to push, and we're about to come out through and out the birth canal, and that process is necessary, but it's also traumatizing, right? And it's also hard. And not only is it, laboring on the mother and taxing on the mother, but the baby goes through the trauma as it's coming, through this birth canal and getting squeezed and pushed and, coming out of its, the comfort and the safety of what it's known into something new, right? So it ends up being a beautiful thing on the, in the end, right? When the baby has come out and it's now in this new world and all of that good stuff. But the process of getting there is not fun at all. And so we have to just keep in mind that, the next couple of weeks can feel very, very challenging, and there could be a lot that we're going to be having to deal with energy-wise, individually, collectively now, because all these planets that were in retrograde are now going direct. Things are moving forward. So I just want you to all keep that in mind to, have patience with yourself and have patience with the process, because it's not going to be comfortable, all right? So I will just say that things might be feeling worse, are likely to feel a lot worse before they actually start feeling better. This Mercury square Saturn, the Pluto and Jupiter conjunction, and also Uranus is still opposing the Sun. Expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. Expect it all to go down. I feel like it's about to go down, okay? So a lot remains to be seen on how things are going to land. The crystals that I recommend you working with this week are obsidian. I only recommend one crystal, so sorry, I'm not going to say crystals. The crystal that I recommend you working with this week is black obsidian, and that's great for protection and purging, especially as we're coming into the waning cycle of the moon, and then also into this like colder season where darkness is going to be prevalent. Protection and purging will be great with black obsidian. Also, the herb that I recommend you working with this week is rosemary, and rosemary has very, very, very powerful vibrations. It's a great protection herb, but it's also cleansing, healing, and it's great for sleep. So if you find yourself just like feeling anxious or feeling you know, some kind of way and you're not able to wind down, you know, this will also help you with that. So that is all I have for this week. Like I said, there is a lot coming down the pipeline. And of course, I am going to definitely bring you all that information. And until then, I will see you all in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Peace.